In regard to be successful, collaboration is again the key. So in regard to how we can collaboratively problem solve and try to see how we can help the MLL students who is not responding well to the Tier 2 support, there would be a team of educators at the table sitting and reviewing the data and everything that has been done to date. The special education resource teacher is also part of that conversation when the educators come together this time to discuss about the language acquisition and the possibility of any other sort of support that may exist. Parents are very integral again. They need to be part of, they should be in the know, and they should be also have the say in regard to what has been done and what has worked and where they see the student is going next. Once the team come together and they have analyzed all different kinds of possibility of support, they may consider next step for the student that can vary depending on the availability of what is available to support in Tier 3 in different schools and different boards.
What's really sticking with me in what you just said is the idea that this is where the analysis happens. Prior, we're talking about the Tier 2, it's the description. But now it's where all of these lenses come together and the deeper analysis of the data comes and in fact helps us make the collaborative decision.
Listen to the family, and if the family disclose information of a possible exceptionality, whether it's physical, intellectual, or a learning need, then we as educators need to find resources and support to follow through, and that could be accessing our special education resource team, and that could be someone from your board or at your school level, and at the same time we continue that language acquisition along with gaining this special education learning context need.
We need to be very cautious when we are interpreting the assessment for our MLL students, because it might lead to potential cultural and linguistic biases. So consulting with family is important, making sure that we are talking to them to understand better about the language and language background, the culture background of the students is important. To have that lens to make sure that we can support students, if possible, in their first language, if having an interpreter in the assessment session who can help them at least with the instructions of how to, how to make sure that the test is done, explain the test to them, to make sure that we are getting information from all different sort of resources, not just limiting ourselves to one, which would be the result of the assessment test. And my experience is that this is actually a very tricky part of the process, because finding someone who is expert or knows about the first language of the MLL students is not easy. Not all school boards or schools have that support available.
This is a misconception. Multilingual language learners can be placed on an IEP, and there is no requirement for the student to have been in Canada for a specific length of time or to be at a particular step level beforehand. In fact, it's essential to identify multilingual language learners in a timely manner so they're able to receive appropriate programming and support. So if after reviewing data and documentation from previous interventions and the strategies implemented in throughout Tier 1 and Tier 2. They've not been successful. Tier 3 may involve more targeted planning that involves the development of an IEP. And if this is the case, the IEP needs to be designed to consider the student's special education needs, and in the case of MLLs, it should reflect an understanding of language acquisition and how that intersects with learning exceptionalities.